Breakfast with Vossy and Brandy. Throwback Thursday.
For Scott Gale across to Gary Schofield. There's a try coming for the Tigers. Yes! Garry Jack scores. Scoreboard corner. Garry Jack scores the try.
From the West Illawarra club that has produced so many, via the West Magpies, where he made his debut in 1981, on to the Balmain Tigers, where he would play 244 matches, throw in 17 origins, 22 tests. He's Hall of Fame for us. Garry Jack, great pleasure. Welcome to Breakfast with Vossy and Brandy.
Thanks, Vossy, for that intro. You too, Brandy. Look, it's very nice to be on your program. Thanks for the invitation. Two of the nicest guys in the game, and it's great to catch up with you.
Jimmy, you g'day. You almost forget about Western Suburbs, or I do. And when I went through your career again yesterday, I thought, oh, that's right. Jimmy started at the Western Suburbs. Were you there when Bar was there? Was Bar? I guess Terry Lamb was there as well.
Yeah, I was there when Bar was there. Yeah, definitely. Bar. I was there 81. I started sort of round 4. I was in reserve grade, and round 4 was my sort of debut. We played South Sydney, and so I played there with Bar probably 5 or 6 games. Alan Neal was there. Dallas was there. Bobby Cooper was there. Paulie Merlot. Gary Dowling he was the fullback there. Gary Dowling. So yeah, it was a great era to be at West with Roy Masters.
And what happened? What happened for you to get to the Tigers? How did that all work, Jimmy?
I thought at the end of the season, the Steelers were coming in the competition in '82, Greg, and I suppose at Canberra, I had the Steelers. East were also interested, and Balmain. They'd all sort of spoken on the phone to me, but Keith Barnes actually knew a good mate of his called Nola Yeomans. He got Alan McMahon there to Balmain. They came knocking on my front door. There you are. They knocked on opened the door, and there's Keith Barnes standing with Nola Yeomans.
There we go.
when I was renting a place, I said, come inside. Look, I had no money back in those days. I had a couple of bean bags. I said, just sit whichever bean bag you want to sit in, Pete. so we sat in a couple of bean bags, and we talked about coming to the Tigers and how they were building a team, and Steve Roach was coming through, and Benny Elias was coming through. Wayne Pearce was, he was going to play for Australia, and how good they were, and they wanted me to be part of it. So, yeah, it was pretty influential. Yeah, and poor old Keith passed away a few months ago now, and he was a great supporter of mine during my career, and I can never thank him enough for what he did for me.
Let's talk about fullback play, Gary. And we mentioned coming through the West Wollongong club, the West Illawarra club. There's been so many greats. Were you always a fullback? Because people talk about trailblazers, and last night Billy Slater inducted rightfully into the Hall of Fame and changed the way. He was the ball player. But I look back at you, and I feel as if you were also... Greg Bretnell's one of the first bomb catchers, but he had the AFL background. But I remember you, Gary, as being... Gee, you put a ball up, Garry Jack's catching this. You're a leaper for the ball. You had great technique. I think you were ahead of the game in terms of bomb catching, Gary. Were you always fullback, and was that always part of your game?
No, that's a good question. No, in my younger years, I was a lock forward. So I played lock from about 8 to about 13, and my idol was Ronnie Coote. Yeah, Ronnie Coote got inducted last night. He was my idol. And my dad always said, tackle around the legs just like Ronnie Coote. They can't run without legs. So I modelled myself on Ronnie Coote as a young player, coming through. And for him to be inducted last night was fantastic. I've always been a fan of Ronnie Coote's. And then at about age 14, I said to my dad, he was the coach of the side. I said, Dad, these other kids are a bit too big. I'm really struggling to play lock forward. I said, Gavin's, our fullback, was going to play soccer. I said, I'd like to play if you put me back to fullback, what do you think? So they asked the team if anyone wanted to play fullback, and no one said. So he said, well, Gary wants to play fullback. So that's how it ended up. I moved back to fullback, and what a career move that was for me. At 14. It changed my whole life.
Jimmy, were you better off your left or your right foot? I'm just trying to think. Fullbacks kick into the left or right corner to take away their footwork, and you had a step. Like you the reason you were a great runner of the football, A, you were courageous, B, you were quick, but your footwork and late footwork, as the chase was getting there, you would just change directions. Were you better off left or right?
Yeah, I'd get to the ball as quickly as possible, Brandy. Geez, you must have been a student of the game, mate. You'd pick up all the nitty-gritty stuff. And I normally would sort of go to my left, and I could go to my left, but I could also swerve to my left. So I could step whenever I wanted to, but if nothing was there, I'd sort of keep going left and then jag off the left and come back through. You know, that was, I was a strong runner. As you're right, I certainly wasn't scared. Like my dad said to me, he said, run hard, Gaz. He said, run hard, mate, and you won't get hurt. So I always remembered that throughout my career, to just run hard. And it set me in good stead, but, and a swerve off the other foot. But, the footwork now by the fullbacks these days is amazing, absolutely amazing, what they can do with the ball. But at the same time, I think there's a really place there for saving tries as well. And they're all not as good at saving tries. They like to score them, but they're not too happy on defending.
Oh, yeah. Gee, I remember one, I've quoted the story before. 88, you cut down Steve O'Brien in the corner, Balmain v Canterbury, and you just get up. You don't even get a pat on the back. You just go back and they pack the scrum down. But you've pulled off one of the great try-saving tackles in the corner. Garry Jack is our Throwback Thursday guest, a Golden Boot winner, which we should have put in the introduction as well. Often asked players that don't get the grand final glory, Garry, and that is the case for all you Balmain
I knew
boys.
this was coming. this was coming.
Well, no. Well, I'm saying, as a fan, I would say if I played in the grand final, I'd look back on it as a career highlight. With the passing of time, I know it was grand final defeat, but are they career highlights?
Yeah, of course they are. Yeah. To make a grand final is a huge achievement, but to make two is, back to back was unbelievable. That shows the quality of the team there at Balmain that we had, and we're just very unlucky not to have jagged one or maybe even two premierships. With the side we had, there was 4 or 5 guys that were in the Australian side. Ellery Hanley came out, Andy Courier came over, and they just changed the game. So yeah, it is certainly a career highlight for me, despite the outcome at the end. I was probably the one that, 89 was just very disappointing, just how it all finished, all bar, what, a minute 30 to go, one set of 6, like, we're ahead, we're there, but just wasn't meant to be.
Yeah, pretty tough. It was a great era, and I being part of that era with Penrith, who were just starting to make their way as semi-finalists. We
always had Penrith's number. We always had their number, Brandy.
You did in the late 80s. We couldn't beat you. We could not beat you.
We used to towel you up.
80s.
I remember the day that
toweling up was probably a little bit too heavy, Jim. Toweling up, but you did beat us, yes.
Convincingly, yeah, is another good word, yeah.
Now, I'd forgotten this part about your career too. That you went to England after you finished with the Tigers in '95. Yeah. You actually played 6 years over there. Like it wasn't a short stint.
Incorrect.
10.
Longer.
Where did you get the information from?
I'm going off Vossy. What did you?
What? Cap.
Yeah.
6.
You did tally him up, Garry.
Okay.
I remember.
I did 70 hits in the head, Brandy. Seriously.
Jimmy, I'll change the question. Tell me about your English career.
I went there from 92 to 95. So what's that? 3 years. Oh, look, we'd had 2 years of Alan Jones as coach, and I just had enough of him. I just had enough. I couldn't handle it anymore, seriously. And he was going to resign for another year. I said, I just can't put up with this. So I went over to play with Sheffield, the Sheffield Eagles. And in actual fact, Sheffield Eagles played the Kangaroos as a warm-up game in 1992 for the World Cup, which was fantastic to play against the Kangaroos. I was the captain of Sheffield, and Timmy Brasher was the fullback for Australia. So how good was that? That's a great.
It's where they filmed. It's where they filmed the Full Monty, Sheffield, isn't it? That's where the Full Monty was filmed. The movie.
Yes, the Full Monty. Yeah. There was plenty of Full Monties going on. And then from there, I was captain coach at Salford for a couple of years, which was over in Manchester. And I really enjoyed my time there in England for 3 years. And then I came back, and I still felt good and felt like I could contribute. I don't think I missed a game there in 2 years, and I came back and I played with Wayne Pearce as captain in '95. I played 13 games at the end there for the Tigers, which was great to finish there at the Tigers.
Right.
Here's a text, Gary. Mark says on the text, Vossy, Brandy, some of the moths that live in Jimmy's wallet got long service leave recently. Now, that's an interesting way of putting it. Now, Gary, we do have to explore all things in Throwback Thursday. We've got to tell the full story. But everything that is joked about you in terms of avoiding the toll, that you wouldn't even part with 20 cents, you'd wait until the toll collector's finished for the day before you went across the bridge. It is all true, isn't it? It is true, Gary.
Well, there are parts of them that are true, parts that aren't true. There was no bridge when you go into Wollongong from Leichhardt Oval, so no, that was the toll. It was the toll gate when you go past Heathcote, that one there. The bloke didn't come on till 8 o'clock, so I never left training until about 7:15 because it took me 45 minutes to get there. And I'd pay him with bananas or grapes or fruit or an apple, and he let me through there. So he was that was true. But yeah, there's plenty been myths out there, you know. And I'm sure I let you some money too, Brandy, on tour there in '86. I'm still waiting for you to pay me back.
Oh, hang on a second. Hang on, Brandy. There's a fight here. There's a fight started now. Fight. Brandy, what was the story you said about Garry Jack and the shout on the Kangaroo tour you gave to us yesterday?
That Jimmy went to his room and got the beers out of his fridge and bought them down, the free ones. The beers the beers that they would give us. And then, Jane, yes, Jimmy, go on. Please, reply.
We didn't have any fridges in our rooms back in those days. It was out the window. I put a couple outside the windowsill.
You went to the team room and got the beers out of the fridge.
And let me tell you, Brandy, not one of those Queenslanders or any players complained about those 4X cans that I gave the players. It was a shout of 6. Not one of them complained. They were all very happy to drink it.
Yeah, there we go.
Now, Brandy, we've shown you a footy card or a one back in the day, what was a sticker at the time from the playing career of Garry Jack. Now, this is a story that has to be told on Breakfast with Vossy and Brandy. We've shown you the sticker from whatever year it was. Yeah, there are kids listening, but they need to know that sometimes the world isn't fair. Brandy, tell us what you saw on that sticker of Garry Jack back in the day playing for Balmain. What did you see?
I saw Gary's genitals.
Yes. Now, beautifully put, Brandy. There's no other way of saying it. Garry Jack.
What did you say? He's what?
He saw your genitals.
Gentiles.
Okay.
Gentiles.
Now, how did this happen, Gary? That back in the day, and this particular year, it was a sticker rather than a footy card. But the photo of you have the block and tackle out. Like, somehow gets through the editing process. But there's a story behind this. This was unfortunate for you on many parts, wasn't it? Because on the day, something led up to that.
What?
Well, I think you forgot to pack your Reg Grundies in that particular match.
No, I did. I can't remember. I did have. Those were early days. Like, I didn't have a great deal of money back in those days. And those days, you'd play in your Reg Grundies. And the Reg Grundies I had on weren't the most fitting. So that was my problem.
Right. Loose undies.
I think it was against loose undies, yeah. And it looks like, I tell you what, it looks like a fist coming through. That's what it looks like. And those cards, it was three Wayne Pearce cards for one of mine. That's what it was. It looks like a big mango. It's just unbelievable.
I'm sitting on a big mango on eBay. What are they fetching these days, Gary? What are they fetching? What, $5, $10? What are you
they're fetching $25 a card now, Vossy.
$25 for Garry Jack with a junk out. Garry Junk Jack.
Yeah, and I was that upset about it. I said to Keith Barnes, "Look, this is because they can't do this. They're going to let go." So he said, "Well, why don't you sue them?" So I sued them.
Oh, nice.
Look, I didn't get a great deal of money, but anyway, I sued them. Like, imagine if it was E.T. You know, he'd be getting $150,000. E.T. when he was in the shower.
Didn't that happen? That did happen.
Yes, it did happen.
That book was produced. Exactly.
And I got $2,000. He gets $150. How do you work that out?
It's outrageous, Jimmy. Outrageous. Tell us what are you up to these days?
Brandy, I'm really lucky. I work for the NRL in Pathways in Participation, which is getting young kids to play footy. So I go out with the game development officers to schools and clubs and just help talk to the kids and coach the kids about playing this great game. You know, it's a great job. I've been ambassador for just under 12 months for the game. We've just hit over 200,000 participants in the game this year, which is great for the NRL, and I'm really enjoying my job there at the NRL.
Gary, that's terrific.
No,
you still like watching, Jim? Jimmy, do you spend much time? You love
Brandy,
watching the game?
I love it. I've always loved the game. It's given me so much as a player and as a fan. I'm a fan of the game now. That's why I loved last night watching it. Yeah, I watch every game every weekend, sort of across it, what's going on. So, yeah, I'm a big fan of the game, mate.
What about the reaction on the text line? Some of the Garry Jack's, one of Jimmy's dusters spotted a gap. This one, a giant mango. I nearly crashed my car, says Ash. Garry Jack's infamous footy card reminds me of Seinfeld's Elaine's Christmas card. Maybe you can play the clip when she's told about her photo on the Christmas card. Yes, there's a nipple in the Christmas card photo. Thank you, Garry, for sharing. Now, I won't avoid the elephant in the room anymore. We had the Hall of Fame induction, the latest inductees last night, and all very worthy. Yeah. But when I go through the list, as a fan, Gary, I can't fathom how Greg Alexander's not there, but I can't fathom how you are not there with your record. In all honesty, Gary, does it irk you? I mean, last night you would have been proud for Benny. So Junior's there, Wayne Pearce, Steve Roach, Ciro, Benny, but not Garry Jack. How's that happen?
Well, I don't know.
Is Ciro there?
Ciro's not there as well, I think. Yeah, look. I don't know. It's Ronnie Coote, 5 times before he got there, and I don't know. It's just one of those things, I suppose. I'd certainly love to be part of the Hall of Fame if I was selected. And you'd like to think that your career stands up against a lot of those blokes, and you're probably worthy of it. But for whatever reason, it hasn't happened. So that's just the way it is. You just have to live with it.
Yep. There's not much to say, is there, Jim? Like
no.
Your record is incredible. 244 games for the Tigers, 17 in New South Wales, 22 tests. I was lucky enough to go on a kangaroo tour with you. It was fantastic. We had a great time. And we do appreciate.
We had
your
a great
today,
time. I don't think you were old enough to shave, Brandy. That's how much of a choir boy you were.
Yeah, I was a baby, but
you were in the room next door to me. You and Rowdy.
Yes, that's right.
Me and Badge were together, and you were next door.
Me and Rowdy. I got Dale Shearer 2 kangaroo tours. Did you know I went with them on the next one, Jimmy?
Did you as well?
I got Rowdy again. Yeah.
What, roommates for like 6 weeks, both times?
12 weeks.
Yeah.
They're all up. Yeah,
12?
Oh, no, 12. Yeah, right.
They were 3-month tours. They were
3.
Yeah, Rowdy twice. Yeah.
All right. Well,
and survived.
Jack, we could have part 2, Garry Jack, on the program, but mate, just a pleasure having you on the show today. First guest we've ever had on who had a footy card with his junk out, and your telling of the tale is something that will be years down the track will be seen as radio history. Someone describing it as a fist and a mango.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who do I send the invoice to? Do I split it or just send it straight to you, Brandon?
Mate, just send it to me. You don't. I still owe you, don't I?
Yeah, you still owe me. Yeah, you still owe me more now.
Yeah.
I only gave you £5 and you haven't finished spending it. Seriously.
The great Garry Jack, one of the great personalities, but seriously one of the great players. Thanks for coming on the program.
Thanks, Vossy. Thanks, Brandy. I'll talk to you soon, guys. Great.
There he is. Throwback Thursday guest, Garry Jack. And, just confirming. So, Wayne Pearce in there, Steve Roach in there, Benny Eli. So, Ciro isn't, but nor is Garry Jack, and Garry should be. That record, that's an oversight if Garry Jack is not there with his playing record at all levels, club, origin, and test. And the personality bit, part of it, that gets him in there. And I'd put the sticker up on stage if he got inducted. I'd put that up there as part of rugby league folklore.